And last and certainly not least, Engineer Francis Maliti, who is running on Maendeleo Chap ticket, current Deputy Governor in the county of Machakos, also served as CEC for Finance, 31 years in public service, as well as Director for Vision 2030.
Asante sana.
Okay, coming to you, DG Maliti, you want to now succeed your boss. Are you going to carry forward the work that you carried for the last 10 years?
Thank you. First of all, the reason why I want to be the governor of Machakos is because I've been serving as the deputy governor, and I've also served as a CEC in different departments within Machakos County. And this has made me identify with the aspirations of the people of Machakos. I have also identified their socio-economic needs, understood the gap between where we are in terms of development and our aspirations. I am bringing in a lot of experience, public service experience, having served in the national government for 23 years, having served in Machakos County as a CEC and now as a deputy governor for now 10 years, and with a lot of experience in public governance. I have a vision for Machakos after having understood the needs of Machakos people. And when I become the governor, I will immediately run and begin to implement development for the people of Machakos County.
Ningependa tu kumpatia nafasi Bwana Maliti ili aweze kueleza, kwa sababu wewe umekuwa waziri wa fedha katika kaunti ya Machakos, umekuwa naibu gavana, umeona ile miradi ambayo Daktari Alfred Mutua amefanya, mojawapo ikiwa kama ile ambayo anayotaja Bwana Mudhama kuhusiana na kuchimba visima. Je, hilo ni swala ambalo utaendelea nalo ama wewe una mipango tofauti?
Ni kweli nitaendelea na hilo, but I need to explain what I'll do in the first 100 days. One, I will fix the public service, because it is the public service which gives mission to the other resources. You cannot be able to implement all the development projects we are talking about here if the public service is not efficient and effective. So the first 100 days, I will ensure that all the public servants, all our employees are under performance contracts so that they can be able to account for the salaries that they earn. After doing that, I will focus on the health care. It is true that Machakos County implemented what we call as universal health coverage. We were financed by the national government, but after 1 year, the financing stopped. And we continued offering free medical services, which we have found very challenging. I will shift from that to what we call as input-based financing of healthcare to output-based financing of healthcare by partnering with the NHIF, so that we stop this business of people going to our hospitals and they are told there are no drugs, there are no basics. And then I will shift again to water. Some of these things I'll do them concurrently, so that in the first 100 days, I've fixed healthcare, I've fixed infrastructure, I've fixed water, because there are some water facilities or water assets that have failed. And the reason why they have failed, particularly towards the end of our term, is because we have not been financed as expected. So I hope with the new regime, we'll now be getting the finances in good time, so that we can ensure that everybody in Machakos is able to access water.
DG Maliti, I feel like some of that response was directed at you as the Deputy CEO of Machakos County. And we promised we would give some questions from online. One here from Sisa saying, the hospitals have faced chronic shortages of basic supplies like gloves and drugs and understaffing. They want to hear from you in terms of what your boss, yourself, have done to help the health sector in Machakos.
Yeah, first of all, I don't agree with my brother Mudhama that the current CEO is not qualified. Indeed, he is qualified to be. That is why he was elected by the people. Remember, you are elected. He was elected by the people of Machakos. Two, I want to say the problem with the healthcare is financing. That is the greatest problem with the healthcare. And during our interactions with the national government and the county government, Machakos having been one of the pilots who implemented the universal healthcare, we agreed financing is the problem. Even as we sit here or stand here and say, when I become the governor, I will fix this, fix that. The first thing is to look at the financing of healthcare. One of the reasons why the doctors wanted to go on strike, and they are no longer on strike because we fixed the problem, is because they were requesting for promotions. It was not another thing. And the reasons why the promotions were delayed is because if you promote somebody, you must pay that person their due salaries. So that is why there was a small delay. But now that we are just crossing into a new financial year where resources will be available, our County Public Service Board has started promoting the doctors. So to fix the healthcare system, we have, even as a country, we have to think of moving from curative medical healthcare to preventive. Because as long as we continue with the curative, we will still have more and more people coming to the hospitals. So to do so, myself, what I'll do, I'll shift the financing from more of curative to preventive health.
Nataka kuanza na wewe DG Maliti, kwa sababu uko katika serikali hii ambayo mara kwa mara imetaja kwamba imechimba visima ambavyo katika baadhi ya maeneo havija wafaidi wananchi. Je, iwapo utachaguliwa Agosti tarehe 9, utaendelea na muundo huo wa kuchimba visima ama una nia tofauti katika kuhakikisha kwamba wakazi wa Machakos wanapata maji safi tena maji salama?
There are no other methods of providing water other than construction of dams and sinking of boreholes, and also getting water from the rivers and maybe transferring it to canals. So what I will do, I will continue drilling more boreholes and ensuring that those boreholes have water. 2, I will, of course, you drill boreholes in areas where you think you cannot be able to dam. And there are places where you can be able to dam water. So in those places where we can be able to dam water, I'll do so. Now, but the water problem must be approached in 2 ways. 1, we must be able to approach it from a point of providing water near the households, and also providing water by digging big dams that are mega, so that you can be able to use the water for domestic and also for irrigation. So for Machakos, as I talk now, we have drilled 660 boreholes. About 80% are working. About 20% of them are failing. And one of the reasons are failing, we have learned, is because, 1, when you drill boreholes, you must go to a certain depth, because when the dry season comes, the water level goes down. And that is the time when people start saying we have no water, because the water levels underground have gone down. Okay. So my approach will be to build mega dams in every ward, at least 1 mega dam in every ward, and also build weirs across our seasonal rivers, so that when it rains, this water does not get to the rivers and go to the ocean.
Let's come to DG Maliti. You have a lot to respond to. So the question on whether those boreholes actually exist and work, and also on the infrastructure issue, there's a question here from Aleo on Twitter asking, why don't we have proper roads in Mavoko while also power is an issue? What will your government do?
First of all, I want to say it is dishonest for somebody to say none of the boreholes that I'm talking about exist, because boreholes are physical things that you can touch. Boreholes are physical things that you can see, if you are able to see. From where I'm standing, I can mention boreholes, and if you want, you can call. In a Mombone ward, in Machakos town, we have Mokune Boho, we have Mongala Boho, we have Mombone Primary Boho, we have Machakos Primary Boho. I'm just mentioning in one ward. If you go to Yata, in a ward like where I come from, Kidimani, in Kidimani town, there is a Boho. ABC, which is just about a kilometer from Kidimani town, there is water. a kilometer from there, which is Kambia Deke, there is water. I'm just mentioning a few. In Mori Farm, where he's talking about, there is a boho, and we recruited water in the entire town. So I'm just saying that we need to be honest, that it is true that we have developed 660 bores which you can touch. And I have said some of them have failed. And the reason why they fail, boreholes are like motor 20% vehicles.
You said had failed.
Yeah, boreholes are just like vehicles. Your vehicle can break anytime because they are machines. But when they break, they are supposed to be fixed. But they have also a lifetime. There is a time when a borehole runs, and because of shift of geological, what we call as geological shifts, the borehole dries.
So all swali ni hili, yes. Kama kuna visima ambavyo mlichimba na havikufanya kazi, ni kwamba hamkuwa mmefanya utafiti kuhakikisha kwamba mnapokwenda kuchimba hivi visima vitawafaidi wale wananchi kwa muda mrefu na sio tu kwa muda mfupi?
For us to be able to drill those bores, and I was in charge of the water department, we used geologists. And for you to be able to supply water to a household, you do not have to move water. It's very expensive to move water 5 kilometers to that household. So if you find a quantity of water, say 3 meters cubic of water per hour, a bore gives you 3 cubic meters of water per hour, that bore suffices. It can still be able to give clean water to those people. So when we talk about water, there is provision of small amounts of water where you get small amounts of water, and also bulk water, which is supplied through construction of dams, what Bwana Waita is talking about. So there are those, variances in terms of supply.
Come to you, DG Maliti. The money question comes to you. Yeah. And we heard Nzioka talk about the pending bills, which now stand at 2 billion shillings or so. Contractors are waiting to be paid. You will be inheriting that should you be voted in as governor. How will you address that issue of pending bills and contractors?
The reason why there are pending bills in Machakos County is because, one, the monies that are given to the counties annually sometimes do not flow as expected. There are delays. And most of you have listened to the governors, even at the Council of Governors level, and you find that by the time the year is closing, in the month of June, you have not even been given the disbursements for the month of May and June. What does that tell you? If you had already contracted people to do some work, you'll not be able to pay them. The money is swept back to the county revenue fund so that now it is paid in the next financial year. That becomes a pending bill. Two, the counties are not in unique circumstances. They are just like the national government. The national government, today we are talking of borrowing up to 10 trillion. 10 trillion. When we borrow, we have to pay. So even the counties, I want to say here, should be allowed now to start borrowing from the commercial banks, of course under very strict guidance, so that the counties don't overborrow. Because the reason is, the difference between where we are today in terms of socioeconomic development. That opened a
Pandora's box because already funds are not being managed very well at the county level.
I will explain. The difference between where we are sitting now in terms of socioeconomic development and the aspirations of the people that we represent, there is a huge, huge gap. So you'll find most of the times you have to fix water, you have to put money in health, you have to put money in infrastructure like roads. Roads are very expensive. And coming to roads, if you allow me,
very briefly, because your time is up.
If I become the governor of Machakos, I'll have a different approach in construction of roads, where we are doing grading of roads. I will ensure each road which is graded by the machines is marramed. Because the problem we have is that we do the grading, and immediately after the grading, when the rains come, the roads are swept because of the climatic change issues. There's a lot of flooding, so you do grading, and immediately after you have done grading, the roads are swept. No. So I will ensure that for every road that we grade, we marram it. because a Maramd road can live for 3 years. The other roads, of course, will find money for tamaking. We will partner with the national government and other partners so that we can ensure we tarmac the roads that are due for tamaking.